I'm Rebecca King Ferraro.
And I'm Michael Sean Breeden, and you're listening to Conversations on Dance. Good morning, Scottie and Rebecca. Scottie and I are in the same house, but we are in different rooms to optimize recording. Scottie is my roommate. He is the second roommate I've had to appear on the podcast.
Yes, Scottie!
Evelyn Grace Kosak. But this is sort of an impromptu pod that we're doing, but it's actually something that we've talked about having as a discussion on the show before. Scottie is new to ballet. He just saw his first ballet last year. It was Copeland Dance Episodes. So we just wanted to get an idea of kind of the perceptions a new ballet goer has going in, and then how that shifts, and maybe what the ballet world needs to be working on from someone who is just a total novice. You know what I mean? But what the world can be doing to grab you, and how your perceptions have changed since you've been seeing the ballet. But first, Scottie, can you tell us the story about how you almost became a ballet great?
I almost was the most famous ballet dancer in the world. When I was a kid, maybe like 5 years old, my first exposure to ballet was the Macaulay Culkin Nutcracker.
Yes.
VHS tape. I think I saw it on TV. Right. I'm too young for that. VHS tape. I think I saw it on TV. I just became obsessed with it. Maybe because I had a crush on Macaulay Culkin. But I sort of became obsessed with ballet. I started collecting Nutcrackers after this. It was very weird. I had a lot of friends, as you can tell. And basically, I decided that my first dream was going to be I was going to be a ballet dancer. I was going to go to ballet class. So I was this, young, didn't know it at the time, gay kid, gay boy who was like, I'm going to go to the ballet. I'm going to start doing ballet. And I had my parents take me. I had them buy me ballet shoes. And I grew up, this is probably in either Georgia or Virginia. So not really the most, military towns, not really the most liberal or sort of accepting, kind of that closed-minded thing, like girls do ballet.
Right.
So my parents were pretty supportive, actually, and took me to I think it was 2 classes, and I was too scared. I freaked out. I think the second one I went home crying because everyone was mean to me. When you're new to something, especially when you're a kid, you don't realize you have to kind of push through
right.
And it's hard, especially when you don't know what you're doing. And all the other kids in the class had been doing it. So, I kind of chickened out. But I still collected Nutcrackers for years afterwards.
Was that it? It was just the 2 classes?
That was it. It was just the 2 classes. So I think, maybe if I'd stuck to it, who knows what would have happened. But I still have, in the back of my head, I still have respect for the art form. I know how difficult it is. And part of me does wonder, down a different path, how things would have been.
When we're talking about what the ballet world can do to grab new dance goers, I think number one thing is be nice to people in class. That's what I'm hearing.
Right. I mean, these are I was 5 or 6 years old. I was so young. It's it's really not for the faint of heart to try anything new. Anything I would have done. This is not ballet specific, but I think I probably could have just stuck with it and tried harder or something.
That's so sweet.
I am a little surprised that the teachers wouldn't have tried to get you to continue as a boy in the early 90s.
You know what? Maybe you mean 2000s.
Early 2010s.
Right. No, I think, what, honestly, I don't even remember. I should have asked my mom about this, but I think they might have even called my parents back and said oh, they want you to come back. But I think I was just too traumatized. I was a fairly shy kid, to be honest. I wasn't, especially around new people. I wasn't really very outgoing. But
so weird. It's just, and you've stayed the same ever since.
Exactly. Very introverted, very shy. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But Scottie, although he did not continue to train, he does retain the title of world's deepest demi-plie, which we like to show off. Because Scottie's often confused when as a dancer when we meet people because he blends in so seamlessly with our dance group. So we're very good friends with James Whiteside. The three of us often hang out together and maybe with a couple of other dancers, but Scottie blends right in. He never is. It's never like, oh, who's your rando non-dancer friend? It's like Scottie's like, yeah, I've been doing this for years. You want to see my demi-plie? But
and then you do
yeah.
that deep demi-plie.
I'm forced to do it often, but I will say, people do ask me when I'm hanging out with everyone, and I've sort of been thrust into this world. Oh, are you a dancer also? And I just say no, and I could see the look of disappointment on their face. Not really, but people really love this ballet world and know everyone as these dancers. So I think that it's just the automatic assumption.
Maybe you should just start saying yes and giving like autographs alongside James, just like come out of the theater with him and just be like, yes, didn't you see me?
Right. I've been retired for years now, but I don't know, whatever.
Scottie also edits James Whiteside's videos, some of them, and so you'll have seen his work in the premiere of Ballerino Diner.
And yes.
Like my favorite video you guys ever did was the Met one where James is just being super silly in his dressing room.
Yes.
What that's kind of an homage to what was that YouTube voiceover video in like the late 2000s? Oh,
Welcome to My Home.
Yeah. What's her name?
Her
like Brenda something. It's not Brenda, but she's
Brenda Dixon.
Oh, it is Brenda Dixon. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Hi, I'm Brenda Dixon. Yeah, that's
Welcome to My Home.
Yeah, that's what that video was giving.
And the voiceover was great, but the actual video was just as insane. But yeah, I did the AD Visits Architectural Digest parody video.
But I love those too.
Yeah, it's James's brainchild. It's just like finding the editing down because there's so much good content and trying to like pare it down to its purest form. But it's been funny to see all the videos and to be involved in those worlds and watching like tons of rehearsal videos from the Vail Dance Festival. I feel like I know, like I met Isabella Boylston a few weeks ago, and it was the first time, but I was like, I feel like I already know you because I've seen so much and been exposed to so much of this. So
right.
That's so great. So for the people out there, let's talk about what you do for work in case anybody would like to hire you for your talents too. I mean, while we're here, we might as well plug it, and then we'll get into more ballet stuff.
Yeah, I do. My day job right now, I do graphic design, some animation, and then I'm studying 3D animation. But for what I've been doing for James, it's something I do sort of in my spare time is just video editing and overlays. I kind of help different people. I have a few sort of freelance clients that I do social media content work for. So creating videos and animation and images for social media, basically.
Content is king right now. You are very in a high demand field.
Not content is king.
It is true. It's like you have to feed the beast constantly.
Content is Rebecca King. Oh.
Ferraro.
But I like too that I like this path of art captured you young, and then you've still kept up with an artistic side of your work. I think that's really an interesting through line as well. Ballet is important, is what we're saying.
Yeah, it's actually, I've always been an artist. I've always drawn. So it's been something I've been interested in for a long time. But I think there's obviously so much crossover between the two worlds. And it's interesting to see. So I definitely have an appreciation for it that kind of goes through that art world, I think.
Yeah. When I took Scottie to his first ballet last year, Copeland Dance Episodes, I knew it wasn't just, you weren't going in with, no, like a totally uneducated eye, just going in like blind. I knew that you would find things to relate to. And indeed, you did. You loved the ballet right away. And yeah, I loved all of your observations. I thought you immediately grasped things that I would expect from a seasoned ballet goer. But I'm curious, what was your thought going in? What were you expecting? And then how did that change after we talked a little bit about this in person, but tell the audience what your how your initial impressions were met or not.
Yeah, I guess I really just thought it was like sort of contemporary ballet or modern ballet or contemporary dance. There we go. Like a Martha Graham or Alvin Ailey.
Mm.
And then it was like story ballet. I didn't really know all the different in-betweens. And the history really have no idea about. So going into Copeland, I think I was maybe expecting like a story ballet, maybe something more along those lines. I
Hmm.
had I had no idea what the costumes were going to be like. And I just found it so obviously it's not a new ballet necessarily. Well, the choreography is, but the music, it just felt very fresh to me. It felt very exciting and emotional. And I think obviously it's still telling stories. It's still storytelling in a different way. It's not such an obvious story ballet, tutu ballet. Is that what
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
the joke?
Yeah.
Maybe we can edit that out.
No, that's the right
What it
thing.
is. What
Yeah.
it is.
You know the terminology.
But I thought the dancing was amazing. I thought I was like tearing up at points of the show. I
Oh.
really loved the Copeland. The music was gorgeous and very American. I think that's something that I wasn't expecting, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're used to ballets sort of being this kind of European thing. That's just were my thoughts going into it. And then leaving, I was like, wow, I really want to see another one.
Yay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And then the next thing you saw was a tutu ballet, Giselle, like a romantic tutu ballet. So then seeing something that maybe fit your impression and your idea of ballet prior to seeing it, what did you think about that? What did you think? Was that like, oh yeah, this is what I expected and that exists and that's there, but Copeland is more my jam.
I think they're just very different. I appreciate both. I think I have seen a lot of theater. I've seen a lot of, I think I think theater feels more accessible for a lot of people. I
Sure.
think Broadway feels more accessible. Musicals, people want to see more, or they're used to even more than just, straight plays. But I think I have an appreciation for both, and I think they're sort of two sides of the same coin. And the next show that I saw was Giselle,
Hmm.
with James, actually.
Hmm.
Um, and I accidentally sat in they had to like rush me in because I got there late. They accidentally like sat me in the orchestra just to like have me seated. So I
Yeah.
saw the first act in the orchestra. I was like super close and sitting next to these people who were like, who the heck are you? Get out of here. Um, and it was just amazing. I think I we know the sort of some of the stories, Swan Lake and things, and I know
Sure.
Giselle. I didn't really know the full story of Giselle, but I wasn't expecting to be so dark. Especially, of course, we know the second. If obviously you guys know ballet a lot, but the second part of it, it was just like, wow, this is getting really crazy and dark and just really beautiful.
Mhm.
And the athleticism behind it. I know that some of those things, I was like, geez, like how are they physically doing it? And then I also got to sit next to our fellow Miami City Ballet person, Amir. So he was sort of like kind of whispering in my ear a little bit during the show and like
Oh.
kind of just briefly explaining things. So it's been a nice way to go to the ballet with someone who knows and they're a little more experienced to kind of give me a little bit of insight. Of course, we're not talking the whole time, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I always find it more, maybe not more fun, but more interesting to watch a performance when you know someone that's up there
Mhm.
because you feel like more emotionally invested. So I wonder, like for you, the first time you went, you didn't really know anyone. So, it was just a different experience than maybe seeing James and Giselle. How did that like kind of play into you feeling a little more connected to the performance, maybe?
Well, it was kind of fun because knowing James and
Mhm.
like for months before I saw the show, he has a very fun personality and he's very like hammy, if you will.
Yeah.
In the best way.
Yeah.
He's very silly and fun. So to see him being so expressive on stage, especially in that first act where he's like it's more of that kind of panto vibe.
Mhm.
Um, was really fun to see. And like it's like, oh, I know him. Like I know this person. And then seeing him be so fierce in the second part of the ballet where he's like, really giving it, was so exciting to see. So it's just like kind of rooting for that person. I can imagine how you guys feel when you've been in these casts with other people or you know these people personally. Like it's got to feel so good to see them like killing it. And yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm curious then because you did have definitely you had favorites in Copeland
Hmm.
in your first viewing and later on when I've taken you to see other things too. So what makes you gravitate towards a dancer when you don't know them? Like what I remember after Copeland, you just thought Chun was really beautiful and he had a
Mm.
quality that you found eminently watchable. But what is it about Chun or any other dancer? Like when you're looking at a sea of new people and you don't necessarily have a grasp on the technique or something, what's making you respond to these artists?
I think I know I wish I could call more people out by name, that I could think of. But I think, it's like to me it's sort of the combination of all the above, like all of the different things and sort of that balance and that kind of that thing. I don't know. It's that thing that makes you want to watch someone.
Hmm.
I think it's a combination of the athleticism behind it, and also the expression, and how they express themselves. And I think connect with the dance in a way that this is someone who has no technical terms. So
But I
I'll try
like
my
this is
best.
why that's the point of the
That's the
pod.
point.
It's yeah,
Yeah.
we're learning.
Yeah.
I think it's just like the way that they connect with the dance, and I think the whatever the performance is, whatever they're supposed to be giving, I think it's whether they're connecting with it. It's whether they're, you know, and I feel like I was really gravitated towards certain people that were just showing that. I mean, everybody does an
Mhm.
incredible job. I couldn't even imagine the amount of work and discipline that it takes to do all of this.
Yeah.
But I think that there were just some people, there's always some stand-up people, and everyone has their favorite dancers or
Yeah.
whatever, and the things that they're drawn to. But I think to me, it's that combination of the connection with the dance, the emotive expression, it's all the above.
Do you know what I'm thinking? Because I went to the See Miami City Ballet this weekend. And so I was thinking about this. And for me, and I'm wondering if this is kind of what you're also thinking, is that sometimes there's just someone who has the joy of dance that you just
Mhm.
feel like you're like, they look like they're having the best time and they just love every second of what they're doing. And then
Mhm.
that, like, I connect with that. Is that also, I just feel like
No,
as an audience member, it just makes you feel good, you know,
yeah, I think that it's just somebody who's like it's that connection with
what they're doing.
yeah, exactly. It's something about I it's like when you're watching a singer or listening to a singer, when you like they hit that moment where they're sort of in their like they're like channeling the divine or something. That's
Yeah.
sort of how it
Yeah,
feels.
yeah,
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
totally. Yeah, yeah. This was a thought I had to bring up because I took you to see an all Balanchine program.
Yes, yes.
And it was Serenade, Orpheus, and Theme and Variations. And I was convinced that Serenade would be the ballet you loved most of all, but you came away very attached to Orpheus, which I thought was fascinating because Orpheus is sort of more a niche piece. It's not often done, and it's combined with what my experience last night. So I saw this ballet, Liebesliederwalzer, which is
Mm.
beautiful, beautiful ballet. And it doesn't have a story, but it has beautiful sets and costumes. It's very evocative of late 19th century Austria, I guess. Um, and it's something that like the audience I feel like can grasp a little bit. Like if you're not a well-versed ballet girly, as we say. And then it opened with Four Temperaments, which is a masterpiece, like, you know, universally understood to be one of the best works of the 20th century, but it's leotard and tights. And the audience really, even though Liebeslieder is a far less known work, I felt like the audience today, I was shocked, but they loved Liebeslieder.
Mm.
And it because also in the 60s, it was famously like people were not into it. It was like you had to be, you know, it was sort of like a nerd's ballet, I guess. Like, a scholar would be like, oh my God, this is a masterpiece. This is
Right.
his best
Right.
work. But then, the audiences, I mean, Balanchine famously said, so there's a break in the middle. they start out in character shoes and they switch to point shoes. And people and Lincoln Kirstein said to him, "Look at how many people are leaving, George." And he said, "Well, look at how many people are staying."
So crazy.
Because people would leave in the middle of the ballet. But anyway, so I this is making me think, this is very long-winded, but my point being that I think that audiences of today, maybe ballets become even more elitist. So you want like a little bit of something to hold on to that makes it feel accessible to you. Like just looking at steps alone can be scary, maybe.
Hmm.
Like you said, like Serenade, like you thought it was beautiful, but it was not like Orpheus. You had something to immediately attach to, and you didn't have to feel like it was over your head, kind of.
Yeah, I think I think the thing with Orpheus as well is I first of all it's the Noguchi, I think it's a set design and the costume design that he did. And I just became familiar with Noguchi last summer,
Hmm.
before seeing like right before seeing the Balanchine program. So I was just drawn to it just felt very fresh and different. I actually looked this up. Was in the late 40s
Hmm.
that it premiered. So in my
Yeah.
head, I was like, this feels very new or very current, or at
Hmm.
least like the latest or earliest, the 60s, 70s.
Hmm.
So it felt very before its time in a way. And I think to me, it just felt kind of refreshing in a way. I don't know. Maybe that's what part of what drew me to it as well.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, I think kind
Yeah.
of also, Scotty, like you were saying, that some people, people can view like musical theater or Broadway as much more
Mhm.
accessible. And a lot of times, like in my mind, I'm thinking it's because there's a story that's pretty clear because
mhm,
they're speaking and singing and you can kind of follow along. And I think sometimes you can go to the ballet and you might feel as a new ballet watcher that like you're not getting it, or like,
mhm,
Hmm.
am I supposed to be understanding something? And I feel silly because I don't. But I think
Hmm.
sometimes there is just like serenade is dance for the sake of dance. And so you can
mhm.
just enjoy it as it is. And I think sometimes that, do you feel that that could be intimidating for a new dance goer?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. This is like a whole other conversation probably, but I know that ballet to kind of sell tickets maybe or to yeah, to maybe to sell tickets, it's like you have to go with the ones that people know and
A thousand percent.
people want to that they know will sell tickets. But it's like
Hmm.
things like for new ballet goers, I wonder if shows like Orpheus or the one that you saw last night, if people saw them, if it would change their perception. Even Copeland dance episodes, if it would change their perception of what ballet is, that it's not just story ballet. Um,
Hmm.
but it's interesting because I feel like though certain of those ballets are that might connect with new people, maybe aren't the ones that are because they're not as known, are the ones that maybe aren't done as often.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but I agree with you, Rebecca. I think that maybe it can be scary for people to not know if there's no story or if it's just about the dance steps. Like, oh, I don't really know the technicality of this. I don't know what this is. But to me, it's about the emotion behind it. It's not. It's like even if there's no story or you don't understand the story, you're
Mhm.
still seeing this like incredible art form, and it's really such a pure thing. It's the body doing. It's just bodies.
Yeah. Doing
It's
beautiful things.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
an observation you made that I really enjoyed because this is why it's fun to talk to someone who's smart but experiencing ballet for the first time because it's all things that we would never consider, right?
Hmm.
So Scotty made the point that we almost felt uncomfortable by how similar everyone looks in Serenade. Everyone's in the same costume and they all have upswept hair in the French twist. And he's like, I mean, the men are always going to look different because their hair is just always going to be different from one another, you
Hmm.
know? And I thought
Hmm.
that was an interesting
Interesting.
point. Um, and I was just like, okay, well, how would I think about this? I mean, Serenade is supposed to be a sisterhood. We're meant to all be similar. And I also pointed out, like, I was like, the line of the neck is something you want to see. So that's often why, unless you're making a choice, like it's
Right.
hair down, it's a hair down ballet because we want that look. But otherwise, you're trying to see as much of the body as possible. But I did think that was interesting that inherently women have a little bit less individuality because of just the way that we're dressed.
That's wild. But then when they take their hair down, I have always thought about like, oh, how different they look because generally there's different hair lengths and whatever, but I never like put it together like that because then you can really tell the three ballerinas at the end.
Mhm.
I mean, it's definitely intentional, right? I think that's how it's always been, especially for some of the more classic ballets. And then when they do take their hair down, it's like she's having a mental break. She's about to die.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess there's a connection between Serenade and Giselle there. I didn't even think of that really, but yeah.
We talked
When
with
they,
Alistair about that, right? Didn't we?
I don't
In
know.
Serenade? Maybe about the hair specifically. There are some
Oh, we
parallels
definitely
that
talked about
Alistair
that
was
moment.
telling us. Yeah. But maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. Scottie
Mhm.
out here dropping knowledge on us.
Mhm. And then Scotty you did say because the fourth movement has shades of narrative, and you found that more, I don't know, not relatable, but something that you could anchor yourself to a little bit more, other than just like here are, you know, 30 women, not 30, it's 20 women that all look the same in the same costume, and it's like it's architectural, but I'm not sure
Mhm. Right.
what I'm, am I missing something, or am I just meant to look at it like as like geometry and beauty in that way? Well, okay, there's a Balanchine quote that I love that maybe is helpful, insightful for this, but wait, I don't even know what it is. But it's something along the lines of, someone's asking like, why isn't there a story? Like, and he says something along the lines of like, would you ask a rose why it is the way it is or why it's beautiful? Like you just
Mm.
appreciate its beauty. You just look at it and you go, there's a
Mm,
rose. You know, you're
right.
not like, what's your story, girl? So
Yeah,
I do.
right.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think even one of your favorite directors, Hitchcock, is like, it doesn't matter what the story is. It's like, how does it make the audience feel? That's
Mhm.
was his big
Mm,
point. He was like, I don't care about the story as much as making people feel something.
Right.
Um, yeah,
see,
it's maybe
I
not the
love
same thing, but
No, it is. But I think it's like this intimidation. I don't know. Like even at the ballet this weekend, like I was watching a new work and I was like, I don't know what the story is, and I felt like almost insecure about it. And I was like, it doesn't matter. Like I'm just
Mhm.
just appreciate it for what it is. I guess
Mhm.
I don't know. But I understand. Okay, the other question I was wondering is have you had a chance yet to see the same ballet with different casts? Because like my husband, when he started coming to the ballet all the time, I remember he would find that interesting to see like one person and like his favorite is always like he saw Jeanette Delgado do Sugar Plum and he said he cried. Like he didn't cry at our wedding, but we cried when we saw Jeanette do Sugar Plum. So, and of course he saw many Nutcrackers. So he always found that interesting. But again, there's that like personal connection too. So have you had a chance to do that just yet?
first of all, I just want to say the fact that you did it, you missed an opportunity with husband to not
With
slur a
her
little bit.
husband?
With
Husband.
husband.
Her husband?
Just
Thank
want to
you.
say that really quick. But I haven't really. But I
Okay.
did see when Michael, I visited Nashville when Michael was staging
You're the
Rodeo.
rabbit. You're the
Oh, yeah,
rabbit.
sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Oh
You're the
my
Rabbit.
God. How dare you get my
Yeah,
staging
turn
mixed
this
up?
off. I saw You're the Rabbit, and I saw the Nashville
Ballet.
ballet. My brain. The Nashville Ballet perform it. I just watched rehearsal, so I didn't actually get to see the full thing. But I was like, I think I watched two casts to it, but I'd also seen that same program. That was also in Copeland Dance episodes, right? I'm not making this up.
No. When did you? Okay.
Oh, because
I
you
saw
saw it
Year
at
of the
City
Rabbit.
Ballet also.
I
Yeah.
saw Year of the Rabbit.
Yeah.
At some
Rodeo is a
point.
part of Copeland. That's what I just did in Dresden. I know it's hard to keep straight. Rodeo is a part of Copeland, which you've seen.
Oh, you must have seen Rodeo and Year of the Rabbit together.
No.
No?
You've seen Rodeo because you've seen Copeland. You've never seen one of my stagings of Rodeo because I only did it in Dresden.
But
But
I
You're the
saw Year of the
Rabbit.
Rabbit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Year of the Rabbit I saw with City Ballet.
No, you haven't seen that yet. It's going this season though.
So Nashville was the first time I saw Year of the
Yes.
Rabbit.
Yes.
Maybe it's because we watched videos at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Guys are so cute. I love it.
I'd seen
Mhm.
it before. I
Yeah.
definitely have seen some part of it before, or at least the
Mhm.
music felt familiar.
Well, you like
And
Sufjan, so I
oh
think
yeah, I
maybe
do.
I probably Sufjan Stevens, the
Yeah, big
composer.
Sufjan fan. And that's another thing. I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't know he composed for ballets. I didn't know that that was something that was like these are things as a new ballet person that I'm like, wow, I would be more interested if I knew, all of this
Mhm.
stuff. So
Right.
I think it is great to have this intro to the world and have somebody who knows things and like that there's so much more to, than contemporary dance and tutu ballet.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but I saw them perform. First of all, I saw multiple casts, I think two or three casts perform. And I was like, it was just really interesting to see how the dynamic sort of changes, how each dancer puts their own sort of little spin on it, how their
Mhm.
technique, how their expression informs each character, because Year of the Rabbit does have sort of those like that was like
Characters,
there's
yeah.
there's the bad guy.
Oh my God, I love that. I
We were
love that
doing, yeah.
Scotty was like, "Oh, this is the bad guy, right?" I was like, "Scotty,"
I love it.
because it has like in the Year of the Rabbit section of Year of the Rabbit, it's pretty like dark or more strident music. Um, it's like, oh yeah, this is the bad guy. I loved
I
that,
love
but it's
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
um,
I was like couple number one, couple number two, or
That's what
whatever.
we do a lot of times too. Yeah.
No, and it was really interesting to see, and I was like I think I got emotional at different parts each time because
mhm,
some of the dancers in the show and Nashville Ballet was so fantastic. Um, some of the dancers at different parts of the show in different
yeah,
roles, it just felt very emotional. We're really just connecting and really just giving it. And I think everybody could feel it in the room. Like the people who were not currently rehearsing were watching, and like you could feel the energy in the room of the same of that same company, that they were like feeling the same feelings. It was like a
mhm,
palpable feeling. And this is just rehearsal. This is just in a studio with like,
yeah.
Well, so this
Oh,
is another thing so you're obviously getting a very unique experience because you know Michael, you're able to go and sit and see these rehearsals, which is a totally different experience. But I think this illustrates the importance of things like outreach programs where different companies will open up rehearsals or donors are allowed to come in, that sort of thing. So what was that experience like to see the dancers working? Because my guess is the music stopped and Michael went and gave corrections and you saw some of that kind of work behind the scenes. How did that like make you appreciate it a little differently?
It's well, first of all, Michael's great. And it's so funny. I've like seen videos of Michael as a kid who like staging Carmen in his like house,
in my living room.
basically in
Yeah.
his living room. He was Carmen. Um uh putting it on himself as a kid. So it was interesting to see him like giving the feedback in a way that felt and I come from like a swimming background as well. So like I've been in that sort, it's not the same thing, but I've been like coached before and like
Yeah, no, that's the same.
given pointers on my technique or whatever else. And so I thought he did in a really amazing way that made the dancers feel empowered, that made them feel like motivated to do it again, or to do it better. Everyone felt very excited to be there. It was cool to see people who were sort of newer in the cast, so get a new opportunity to do
Hmm.
to do this show.
Yeah.
Um, and it was so hard. Everyone was working so hard. They were like doing a dance before we even got there. And then there was just like hours and hours. And then it was like every so often you get like, all right, let's take a 5 minute break. But I was like, I need a 30-minute
Yeah.
break. And I'm
It
just
was,
sitting here.
yeah. I
Um,
think we did 3 runs that day.
Oh, wow.
So some people, yeah, I was like, if you're in all three, I guess pick one to take it easy. And
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
now I'm thinking like this is so funny because Scotty like he's been coming to the ballet now for less than a year, but he's gonna visit me in LA when I'm doing staging a ballet.
Oh,
So
nice.
like now Scotty's gonna be like, like I really appreciate that Justin did this more romantic side of things versus the, like the intellectual clarity of the. He's,
I wish I sounded that
he's
intelligent.
gonna know every ballet.
That's
Uh,
so good. I love it. And I just want to, it's making me think a little bit, and I don't mean to like, I don't know. I think that this makes me feel good to hear you talking about how kind of like an inside perspective makes you feel more connected to it and more interested in it. I hope that with this podcast, that's kind of something we're offering too, because like getting to know the dancers a little better makes you feel a different appreciation, kind of understanding what the dancers are doing. So I hope that also can kind of offer this experience. If you don't have a Michael Sean Breeden to take you to the ballet, maybe we can help a little bit to give an experience to new ballet goers.
Yeah, I think it can definitely be intimidating, I'm sure, for a lot of new people, and scary, and or seem, so antiquated that, oh, I couldn't possibly go and like really enjoy it, or why would I want to see that? And I think that something I've learned in the last like year or so of really being thrust into this world was there's so much there. There's so much, newness and freshness and excitement and emotion. It's been really enjoyable. I'm like excited to see more. I feel way more cultured. I feel yeah, it's been great to be a part of.
I love
So
that.
Well, we'll be taking you to the ballet shortly, I'm sure. Oh, well, actually, LA is coming up. That's in less than a month, so you'll be seeing a new ballet very soon.
and I'm hoping to see, I think James is doing Swan Lake, and I'm like, I haven't seen that
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
So that's one, of
With
course, I have to see. I
yeah,
believe so, with
yeah, yeah.
Kate Herland.
Yes, I was just gonna say, yeah, where Herlin stands.
You'll get to
out.
see those fouettes with the owl head.
Yeah,
Yeah, I that's one I want to see, because it's like, it's Swan Lake. I have to see Swan Lake.
yeah, for sure.
And then
We'll
we can
post
talk
some.
about Swan Lake versus Giselle. We can get into that next time we have you on the pod. But I also hope that this encourages people to take a friend to the ballet, take a friend to go see dance, because you never know when you might get a new ballet stan.
Yeah,
Know?
I'm definitely a new fan. I definitely am, like a refreshed fan, if you will.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for talking to me too. I don't know a ton, but it's nice to just talk casually and have fun.
This was so fun. We'll have you back on for sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Scottie.
Thanks, Scottie.
Hey, thank you. Have a great day.
Conversations on Dance is part of the ACAST Creator Network. For more information, visit conversationsondancepod.com.